What is up, everybody? It is 11:02 a.m. Pacific time. It is September 24th. This is Monday. It's the beginning of another week. And you know what? I'm going to mute for a second. I got to cough real quick. Alrighty, cleared my throat there. Much better now. And so, no audio. No audio. Are you getting audio now? I muted for a second there. You guys always freak me out in chat. Straight up. Every time I'm watching chat and somebody's like, there's no audio for me, or it's, is something wrong with the stream? You know, it just takes one person to say something and I get freaked out by it, but it's all good. Everything is good. So, once again, it is September 24th. It is Monday. It's a brand new week in VR gaming, and September has been an incredible, wonderful month. I mean, what a beautiful month we've had. This month of September, really, really good. A lot of VR games have been added to the docket. I really feel like there's a lot of September games that are going to end up ranked in the top 100, maybe top 100 Vive, top 100 Oculus Rift, top 100 PlayStation VR. A lot of games are going to make their presence known this month. Pretty cool. And then tomorrow we have the release of Creed, Rise to Glory. I continue to play Creed, played it a little bit last night, and today I'm planning to try to play as much Creed as I possibly can, so that tomorrow I can give nuanced thoughts on my feelings on Creed and how Creed fits in. Is it another game that you got to grab right away? Is it something to maybe hold off on? I mean, there's lots of thoughts that we can go down that road, and we will take a look at that tomorrow. So we have that to look forward to as well. And then, of course, this is the week. Yes, Oculus Connect 5. This is the Oculus Connect 5 week. I believe that kicks off on Wednesday. I think it's pretty much Wednesday and Thursday, right, is Oculus Connect 5. So we are going to have breaking news throughout all of that. I need to find out when the main time of Oculus Connect 5 is, because maybe we'll move this show to a different time. Like maybe on Wednesday, we might need to start this show on Wednesday, like 2 p.m. Pacific time. So we might have to go to a late time frame. I Am Rhett says an Oculus wireless adapter is going to be announced. Crunchy says he also wants to know what Santa Cruz is going to be named. What it is exactly, the pricing and the date. I mean, obviously, that's what it's all about. And Cyan VR says, we do a post-Oculus 5 show. I mean, I guess that's what I could do, is I could just say, look, the show on Wednesday will start 10 minutes after Oculus Connect 5, the main thing is over with. We could probably do that. So, I don't know. There's a lot of different ways we can run it. And this, of course, is Here They Lie for PlayStation VR. It is developed by the Tan Gentlemen. I don't believe this has ever come to PC VR, not to the Rift, not to the Vive. Looks pretty cool. I've actually never played it, which is kind of crazy because this is my jam. I like these horror thriller games. I love the lighting effects and things that they do with some of these games, so that will be kind of cool. Kevin Mars says I should make the show 3 p.m. Pacific. That's pretty darn late. 3 p.m. Pacific is really late for people in the UK. That's like, what, 11 p.m. or something? Is that like 11 p.m. UK time? Maybe even midnight UK time? I mean, I don't know what it is, but that is relatively late. Fluke says, Anthony, did you get a Space Junkies beta code? I have spares if you need one. I believe somebody did reach out to me with an extra code. So I believe I do have an extra code on lock. So I believe I'm okay there. So I will be trying Space Junkies. Yeah, that's Wednesday as well, right? That's Wednesday as well. Man, too much stuff is happening this week. But yeah, we can go ahead and take a look at some of the news. check some different stuff out and see what's going on here. So let's see. Did I have any trailers that we wanted to jump into right away? And actually, you know what? We should start off with our intro. Let's go ahead and do our intro, get that out of the way. Yes, this is VR Game Rankings, the YouTube channel. This is the Daily Vlog Live. It is episode 211, Monday, September 24th. The Seahawks won a game. Ladies and gentlemen, the Seahawks are not 0-3. That is important. That is very important. Okay, but anyway, yeah, today is Monday, the 24th. Okay, I do have a trailer that we can get into. This is Hotel Transylvania. This is a rhythm action game that's coming, I believe, this week. Let's take a look at this real quick. Okay, so this is Hotel Transylvania. This is a rhythm action game, kind of going in the same line as Beat Saber, Box VR, some of these kinds of games. You can see it's really physically active. You have kind of this Darth Maul style lightsaber with colors on each end, and obviously you're trying to collect the balls of the correct color. You're trying to avoid these purple things or just smash them. It is being developed by Specular Theory, and it's Sony Virtual Reality. Hasn't had a very good track record, you know, in terms of producing this stuff. They've brought out the various Ghostbuster games. Somehow it is tangentially related to Hotel Transylvania. I'm not sure exactly how this is related to Hotel Transylvania in some sort of way. Probably just like little background characters and stuff that you see occasionally. I don't know. Is this going to make much of a dent? You know, we're not completely overflowing with rhythm games. So the people that are really huge fans of rhythm games might give this a look next week. But it is certainly treading in some deep waters with everything else we got going on. Looks kind of cool. Hopefully the price will be relatively attractive. But yeah, that is Hotel Transylvania Popstick. Hotel Transylvania Popstick. So I guess you got this Popstick thing that you're using. So that's what it's all about. Looks kind of cool. Certainly nothing to get super excited about. Okay, so let me go ahead and throw in a different trailer. I just know that was coming this week. Thought I would mention that. Let's look at something else. Actually, might as well throw in a Creed trailer, right? It is coming out tomorrow. Can't really say nothing about it. But we can, of course, take a look at a Creed trailer in the background. And let's see what's going on over here in chat. Asterix Gaming says Beat Saber Train. A Sith game from Star Wars. Beat Saber for kids. Glowing Q-tip. That is Prince Alexander. And MameFan says it looks scary. What's with the name? Popstick? I'm guessing Popstick is what they're calling that thing there. And John Edwards says, I think the devil is in the details with rhythm games. How does it feel? Beat staff, Crunchy. Yeah, it really comes down to Hotel Transylvania Popstick could be a situation. You never know, guys. You can get into a game and it can have a really good feel, and you could be like, you know what, this just feels really damn good. That's kind of the way it was with me with Cyberpunk VR. Nobody talks about Cyberpunk VR, and I got into Cyberpunk VR, and it just spoke to me, you know, and Hotel Transylvania Popstick can be a similar kind of a game. Okay, so now we're talking about Creed a little bit. Kev Gretz says, so excited for Creed, blink once if it's good. And IPCSK says, so are you under an embargo for Creed, Anthony? Can't say anything. Well, yeah, I mean, it's, you know, it's a review embargo. But a lot of times I give my first impressions on stuff, or I'll just kind of talk about how I'm feeling about something. But I figure with Creed, I'm just going to wait for Tuesday. I'm not going to talk about this game. I'll talk about it on Tuesday, and we'll go ahead and get into it tomorrow. But yeah, I mean, I have to play more of it too. So after this show, I'm definitely going to try to throw a lot of time at it prior to tomorrow, get a better feel for it. I'm sure Paradise is probably playing it as well. I don't know. Although Paradise, he likes to kind of hit something on the day of release and just do it that way. So Paradise, have you been playing Creed at all? Or do you just wait for release day? You fire the game up for the first time, and that's what you give your viewers. You're taking them through like your complete first impressions with the game. Because what'll happen for me, if I get a code somehow earlier than its release date, oh, he doesn't even have Creed yet. Okay, so if I get a code for a game early, sometimes I'll try to jump into it because I just don't know when I'm going to get time to play games. So I figure don't look a gift horse in the mouth. If I get a chance to play a game early, freaking play that game early, because there's so many other games always coming. You don't know when you're going to have the time, so just get in there and do it. So I played Creed a couple of times, but today I'll try to play it a lot more, and then that way I'll have my fresh thoughts for tomorrow. So I'll be talking about that tomorrow, of course. Creed Rise of Glory, certainly one of the bigger things going on. Now, I don't really have trailers and stuff lined up, so I thought what we could do is we could kind of bounce around. Well, actually, there is a topic we can go to. We can go to the Pimax topic. We do have some video. I cut some video from SweViver, so much love to SweViver for this video. Basically, what I did is I grabbed his video, and he has some comparison shots where he's talking about the Pimax 5K Plus and the regular Pimax 8K. And he has these comparison shots, and it's a much longer video, but I just cut out pretty much these comparison shots. I thought I could have these running in the background real quick, and we can also check out some news stories and do that. We can also listen into this video a little bit where SweViver kind of talks about the details between this. But this is something that has been popular on the Vive subreddit. It is one of the more upvoted things on the Vive subreddit. A very detailed Pimax 8K versus 5K Plus through the lens comparison from SweViver using the brand new PI tool. And so he's comparing all these different things. Let's go ahead and full screen this for a second and listen into SweViver for a minute and check it out.
Was the Skyrim VR logo. Have a look at the small text on top, which says The Elder Scrolls 5. Even if the 8K is using way more pixels and sub-pixels to render the text, and despite the text having a better definition on the 8K, it's still very obvious that the text on the 5K Plus is easier to read and the letters are easier to distinguish from each other. Also, the 8K pixel pattern creates a lot of color fringing or a high amount of small subpixels with different colors to make the text white. And unfortunately, this is quite visible with our eyes even in VR. This makes the text a little bit more shimmery and more colored than white. And even if the 5K Plus subpixels also are being used in the three colors to render a white, well, of course it's needed because that's how white color is created in an LCD RGB panel. Still, the subpixel colors are much less apparent on the 5K Plus. The horizontal and vertical pixel pattern has a huge advantage here, I think, and that's going to be even more obvious in our next example. Now let's have a look at black text.
So yeah, so here he is. He's giving you a lot of different examples where he is really zooming in on the picture. And the thing is, you kind of have to watch this video. If you just watch these examples, you're going to walk away and you're going to say, obviously, I want the Pimax 5K Plus. I mean, it's pretty obvious in the majority of these examples that despite some certain negatives, the Pimax 5K Plus comes away with a better image. It's pretty obvious in all of these examples. But I caution you, you might want to watch this full entire video because SweViver talks about how he captured the images, and then he took the images later and did some Photoshop stuff with it as well. in his effort to enhance the difference or to try to make it more even or something like that. But you have to take all of that with a grain of salt. So you might want to check out the full video when you get a chance, where he breaks down exactly how he captured this footage. But still, it's kind of one of these situations, you can say what you want about whether or not the Pimax 8K has like more pixels and all this stuff, but it's coming across better on the 5K plus in real life circumstances. So it's pretty obvious everybody basically wants to get their hands on the Pimax 5K plus. So that's kind of what we're getting from these videos. I'll see what people are talking about over here in chat. Prince Alexander says horizontal vertical arrangement is so much better for text. And Main Fan talks about the 8K chromatic aberration. And IPCSK is saying, man, now I want to upgrade from my CV1. Yeah, well, we got to wait. We've got to wait, guys. I mean, look at these. These shots are really interesting. The 5K plus does look really good. I mean, it looks really good in a lot of these shots. And it does make you want to go in that direction. But remember, we got 2 days, guys. The Oculus Connect 5 is in 2 days. We might find out some information about more headsets, so probably want to cool our heels just a little bit and then take it all into consideration. One of our topics yesterday was, does all this Pimax stuff, does this put legit pressure on Oculus and HTC? Does this, like, is this making them nervous? Are they going to have to do something here? Are they going to have to respond to this in a greater way than just half dome and 140 degrees? And we're going to find out a little bit more information. I don't believe Oculus is going to be the type of company that is going to worry about what other people are doing. I think what Oculus is going to do, they're thinking mass market. See, Oculus has to think about something that they can put out there, something that devs can support, something that is sustainable. So they're in a bit, I mean, look at that. That looks completely better. Now this looks very close, but that other one, oh my God, it was a dramatic difference. Let's listen in to SweViver for a sec here. Let's check this out.
Text mainly, especially if you look at that number 600. A second example of the same gauge, which focuses on the MAT something Russian word, shows us slightly more definition on the 8K side, but the clarity and readability is still better on the 5K plus, despite using much less pixels and subpixels to show the text. Very, very interesting indeed. Now, in this third and last example in the cockpit, I want you to look at the green edge of this gauge. The sharpness of the inner side of this green edge is definitely higher on the 5K plus than it is on the 8K. I can say both of the headsets gives us slightly jagged edges, and the difference between the jaggeds is rather small, even if the 8K smoothens the edges.
Yeah, that's a pretty big difference right there. I mean, that you can see really, really much sharper lining there on that 5K plus. So, I mean, all of these images, it just continues to hammer home that basically the Pimax 5K plus seems to be the HMD to beat for consumer use for the foreseeable future. And so Pimax, bro, when are you going to send me one of these babies? I would love to do some comparison shots like this. No, SweViver, we got to give this guy credit because he has gone over and above the call of duty, trying to break this stuff down in a really, really good way, and very, very impressive to be sure. You know, tested. What about tested, guys? Somebody needs to get tested a 5K plus and the standard 8K and let tested go to town like SweViver is going to town. But SweViver, man, much love to SweViver. So let's give some credit here. This difference, I'm not seeing a huge difference between these two, but usually the 5K plus, we are getting a better image. And let's see what people are talking about back over on chat. And so Crunchy says, Oculus is going for the technology for the price point. IPCSK says, I think Oculus Facebook will want to focus more on the standalone side of VR to reach more people. Terry Blanchard says 8K plus won't be good until they have separate GPUs controlling each eye, which supposedly we could get some actual legit SLI action out of some of these NVIDIA cards, right? Chris Cox says the Pimax is for people wanting to upgrade. It's not really growing VR, as the people who buy it will already be all in on VR anyways. I think Oculus are looking more to grow VR by getting new users. Regardless, though, Oculus does not want to be distanced dramatically by another headset's technology that is in a relatively decent price range. These Pimax headsets aren't being sold for $2,000. You can get your hands on these things. Now, one of the worries that Steve Bishop of VR Roundtable fame brought up, and Steve, this is a great point. Steve was concerned, what if you have a problem? What if you have a problem with your Pimax? We all know that the support from HTC is absolutely god-awful. And if you have a problem with your HTC headset or a controller or something, you're honestly probably better off to just immediately sell that thing as is on eBay or Craigslist, get the most you can get for it, and just buy a brand new one. Because trying to go through HTC support is a non-starter. You want to buy your HTC products from like Amazon or Micro Center or something, and try to bypass HTC somehow, some way, because the support is awful. Well, we have no idea really, do we, of what kind of support Pimax has. So you make a major investment in one of these 5K plus headsets, but are you going to have the support there? So you might have to consider buying two of these babies and having one sitting in the closet in case there is a problem. So it's another thing to consider with Pimax. But I got to tell you, I'm a little bit jelly over all of this. The clarity is beautiful. It does have this widescreen capabilities. I really do want to see a 5K plus sooner rather than later. So this is kind of getting me a little bit jelly. I can't even say I'm not. Andy Sky says, I doubt not even GTX 3080 Ti's can handle demand. On the 8KX. Yeah, because the 8KX is the full legit resolution, I believe. So the 8KX, do all of these have two wires going to it, or is it only the 8KX that has like the two display ports that go to it? Andy Sky says a GTX 4080 Ti might work with the 8KX. Chris Cox is saying, but hey, if you get one of these Pimax, you're going to need a top-end GPU to run the thing. So this is a much more expensive proposition than simply buying the headset in a vacuum. You're going to have to get a 2080. You're going to have to get at least a standard 2080, much less a 2080 Ti, if you want to really enjoy your Pimax 5K plus. But it's looking mighty tempting. Like, this looks like a nice direction to go. Again, we are waiting for that Oculus shoe to drop, but I don't know that we're going to get much CV2 information. Like somebody else was talking about in chat, I forget who it was that brought this up, but somebody said they believe Oculus is heading more to that standalone area because they want that wide adoption, the widespread adoption, and standalone, no friction. You don't need to be a PC gamer and have a special gaming PC. So there is some advantage here. Let's listen in on what is SweViver talking about when he's talking about these up-close shots of these letters. Let's take a look at this.
Especially on light backgrounds, such as desktop work, for example, I would say that the 5K Plus wins this race by far. Or what do you think, guys? Please let me know in the comments below, and we're gonna have a lovely discussion about this. Next one is from the cockpit view in Digital Combat Simulator, my favorite.
That is DCS right there, and this particular shot, all you have to do is freeze this shot. I would say this shot is the most damning evidence of all of them. This one has the biggest significant difference between the two. I mean, over there it's blurry. You can't even read what the numbers are. Over there you can clearly read the numbers. Excuse me. Okay, so let's go back over to chat. Phil Yarn says, look, if this is under $1,000, I'm going to buy one. I'm pretty freaking sure that the 5K Plus is under $1,000, but I believe when you order it, it's headset only. I don't think, are you getting base stations? Are you getting their controllers with it? I don't think so. Not initially. I think initially this is if you already have the Vive equipment and you're just upgrading your headset, you grab the Pimax 5K Plus headset a la carte. And isn't it like 700 or 800 a la carte or something like that? What is the price? Does anybody know? I honestly haven't been following this stuff as closely as you probably would prefer me to follow it, mainly because now the difference is not significant. The difference is not that significant, but that first shot, it was very, very significant. Jim Hall says Pimax doesn't have base stations or controllers yet. That's the way I understand it. I understand it. This is a la carte. Crunchy is saying we don't know. We don't know what the prices are yet for non-Kickstarter backers. Okay. And Andy Sky says 8KX is not a realistic product. Let's talk about it in the year 2022 or 2023. Andrew Rogers says the 8K is being upscaled by software that can be improved, so the 8K could get better. Gopher Chuck says, I haven't seen a legit... Oh, I thought he was saying I haven't seen a legit picture yet. I thought he was going to talk major smack about these comparison pictures. I was kind of surprised. But no, he's saying I haven't seen a legit price yet. No one has the same one, as it seems to me. So a lot of people speculating on these prices. Jim Hall says it's predicted anywhere between 500 and 700, and you're talking a la carte. You're talking about that a la carte headset, right? So the question for Phil Yarn, are you willing to pay up to, say, are you willing to pay $800? Let's say the 5K Plus is $799 a la carte, no base stations, no controllers. Do you still jump on that bandwagon? It's a pretty expensive bandwagon, but it is absolutely tempting if you want to be kind of on the cutting edge of VR. But then you also have to grab that 2080. You got to grab that 2080 Ti. You can't run a 1070 or something with this new 5K Plus. I think you're not really going to see a lot of those benefits at all, if any benefits. But anyway, we've been kind of on this video for quite some time. I'm going to go ahead and throw on a random trailer here. We've seen these comparison shots ad nauseum, so I think we kind of have a good idea about those comparison shots. So let me go ahead and grab a rando trailer, and then we can also move over and check some news. Let's see. I'll just put it on one of these Hellblade trailers. Good old Hellblade. Okay. Quick check of chat before I bounce over to the news. Tezzeret said that icy ring shot is not fair. 5K Plus is perfectly aligned with the text, but 8K is at an angle. Yeah, again, anybody that's seen any of these videos, you got to watch the whole entire SweViver video, because he goes through details on how he captured this, and he also edited these pictures in Photoshop. So take a grain of salt with that, but still, I mean, I don't think he cheated to make the 5K Plus look better. I think he just was trying to make it so that it is good for the video so you can get a difference. But take a grain of salt with all of it for sure. Main Fan says, Pimax said 90% chance all backers get one by Xmas. I take that as you're gonna wait. The fact that it's not 100%, the fact that they weren't absolutely positive about it, so you're saying this Pimax is still going to take a while. We're not going to get our hands on it right away. And of course, if you're pre-ordering it in October, you could be looking at March, April 2019 maybe. That's the other thing. If you're not a Kickstarter backer, you're kind of boned. This is one of these situations, guys. I talked about this on VR Roundtable very briefly, but we kind of snickered all year long, and even before that, about all you guys that are Kickstarter backers for Pimax, kind of thinking, man, these guys kind of got screwed, with their Pimax kicks. And I'm lucky, I'm so glad I wasn't a Kickstarter backer for Pimax. But now those of you that were Kickstarter backers that are able to switch to the 5K Plus, and you might actually get your hands on them this year, and then all of the rest of us are jelly as hell, because we're probably looking at April March 2019. We're probably looking at paying a lot more money as well. So that is kind of crazy that it turned out like that. So sometimes good things come to those who wait. And the other thing too is, if you wanted to get aggressive about it, you could sell, you could flip that Pimax 5K Plus. Imagine the first person that gets their hands on the 5K Plus, they could throw that thing on eBay and double the price, and somebody out there will want it right away. But then now they got to wait until April, unless they have two of them. Those of you that have two of them, there's somebody out, I think SAR, is it SAR in, was a Pimax backer, or SAR R, I forget what the second initial was, but I believe he has two 5K pluses coming, I think. And how sweet would that be? Flip one of those babies. Flip one of those babies, you could turn it into a 2080 Ti, so that would be kind of cool. Chris Cox says, how many backers were there for Pimax? I know it's in the thousands. Jim Hall says it would be in NVIDIA's best interest to support it, sell more cards. Too much to ask devs, do all the work. Phil Yearn's talking about playing Tea Time Golf and Abduction this weekend. Both are great, great games. So wait a minute. Abduction, is that a new release? Let me see here. I'm going to look up abduction or abduction. I'm going to look that up because honestly, hold on. I think that's one where I saw its logo and stuff on Steam, and I thought it did look kind of interesting. Let me look that up real quick. Abduction Steam. Oh no, Abducted on Steam. There is some VR game though that it starts with a name like that, but I didn't think it was out yet. So maybe that's something else. Not to get off on a tangent here. Yeah, never mind. I'll forget about that for now. Phil Yarn screwing me up. Okay, Chris Gold says, by the time they, Pimax, are ready for the consumer market, we will be on Gen 3. Not quite, because they should be ready for the consumer market by, say, April 2019, and we're not going to be on Gen 3. Andy Sky says, CV2 will be my main headset, but until then, I'm going to use 5K Plus. Vive 2? Hell no. Well, yeah, I mean, if you can use a 5K Plus to bridge you to the CV2, which is probably 2019, that's a wonderful way to go. Abduction is the missed one. Yeah, we're talking about Abduction. I know there's another game that's coming up. Okay, Abduction, yeah. Yeah, Abduction, a lot of people love Abduction. Chris Cox says there are nearly 6,000 backers. Can't see them manufacturing and shipping all those in 3 months. But doesn't a production facility have the ability to do like 10,000 a month? Isn't that kind of like the normal kind of number that you can produce in a month, like 10,000? Like if they have a factory that's producing these things, can't they produce 10,000 of them? So I believe they could cover their backers by January 1st. Tom Lloyd says, Samsung Odyssey, still best bang for the buck, outperforms Vive's and Rift's resolution, but the controllers, Tom Lloyd. And Hussein X says, Andy Sky, you have Vive 1, always thought you had an Oculus, you praise them a lot. 5K Plus will be good for you then. Dude, 5K Plus would be good for all of us to bridge a gap to legit Gen 2 or legit Gen 3, either way. I'm seriously... Oh, here's the game I was thinking of. Adoption. Adoption is the game I'm thinking of. See, I saw this. I'm going to show you guys what I'm talking about. Okay, see over here? I thought Phil Yarn was talking about this. There's a game coming out called Adoption. I don't know anything about this. It is Fair Game Studio, and I like their logo. But I don't know anything about this. It says available 2018, And when he said abduction spelled with an A, for some reason I was thinking of this game Adoption. And I was like, oh shit, did that game come out? Is it cool? Because it looks kind of cool. I mean, you look at some of these screenshots and stuff. This looks like another creepy game. You know, Transference, all these creepy games that we have. Oregon Quarter, you know, interesting, creepy kind of a game. So that's what I was thinking of, folks. That's why I went on that tangent with Phil Yearn there. But he was talking about the classic Abduction from Cyan Incorporated. You know what's funny? Okay, so here I am. I'm on Steam. This is upcoming VR games. And one of the interesting things is when you look at this list, all you have to do is scroll up and down and look at these logos. And you can tell a lot of times by looking at a logo just how indie a game is. Like, for example, this here, Wall Walker, that is a pretty indie logo. The Desert's Rose, that looks pretty indie. You know, you look at some of these logos, they look pretty darn indie. Like Teleporter, that looks kind of indie. But you look at Adoption, that looks pretty cool. Creed has a pretty cool logo. Vox Machina, okay. A Fisherman's Tale has a pretty cool logo. But yeah, you can look at some of these logos and tell just how indie a game looks just by that. Back to chat, Tom Lloyd says, regarding the Odyssey headset, controllers are better than Vive as far as reliability. Tracking is only an issue if you use bow and arrow a lot. There are some people too, Tom Lloyd, that they're using a Samsung Odyssey in combination with their HTC Vive wands, right? Or are there some people that are using an Odyssey and can you use touch controllers and an Odyssey at the same time? I don't think that's possible, but I believe you can use an Odyssey and use HTC Vive wands at the same time, and some people are doing that. But yeah, you know, all you Samsung Odyssey guys, see the Samsung Odyssey guys, they probably had the best headset bang for the buck type of thing that was going on here, and now the 5K Plus is going to come in and ruin it for them, because now everybody's going to be raving about that 5K Plus, and the Samsung Odyssey owners will be a little bit jelly. This type of stuff happens. We all get a little bit jelly over some really good stuff. Okay, Lethal Weasel VR says, the best thing about Pimax will be the effect it has on Oculus and HTC. We should get Gen 2 a little bit quicker, and the price of Vive Pro should drop. And the price of the Vive Pro needs to drop. And HTC, honestly, they really do. HTC, they need a Vive 2.0. They need a legit Vive 2.0. And the HTC Vive Pro should then become their lower end option. And then they have a new high-end HTC Vive 2.0. What about all of that? Like, we're so concerned about Oculus and OC5. What about HTC? But HTC, do they have enough money? Do they have enough investment? Are they waiting on Knuckles? What companies are waiting on Knuckles? There's probably a number of companies that are waiting on Knuckles. Okay, so I did want to go over and maybe cover a little bit of news today before we get out of here. So let's go ahead and bounce over to Road to VR. Let's see what the major news stories are of the day. So they're talking about PSVR dreams might make the metaverse a reality sooner than you think. You know, here's my question about dreams. I swore I read somewhere that Dreams is still coming in 2018, yet here we are. It is September 24th, and we don't have a date for Dreams. So it is very, very, very difficult for me to believe that Dreams is actually still going to arrive this year when they don't have a date for it. I believe this is probably a January or a February 2019 game. That's my opinion. But supposedly, like if you do some searches, Media Molecule or somebody said, Sony, maybe one of the publishers said that, no, Dreams is still supposed to arrive sometime this year. I find it hard to believe. Okay, here's an interesting topic right here. Bow to Blood devs, they need to hit 40,000 sales to break even. They got to sell 40,000 copies of Bow to Blood to break even That is certainly interesting that we would get an insight in like that. I guess they had an AMA on the PSVR subreddit, and people found that out. And then a haptic VR suit, they are out of money. They're shutting down. We already heard about that from Road to VR. OpenVR for Oculus VR lets you play Steam VR games through Oculus runtime. Yeah, we talked about a little bit about that yesterday. And SeaWorld has ditched VR and roller coaster due to the wait lines, the lines that they had to deal with. That's too bad. But yeah, going back to this Bout of Blood story, this is easily the most interesting story of the bunch here. In an Ask Me Anything session on our PSVR last week, and once again, this is Upload VR. Make sure you guys bounce over to their site, check them out. But basically, they said that they would probably need to sell 40,000 units to break even, that they need to sell around 28,000 copies at the non-discount price to break even. And that's not counting me living off my bank account and not taking a salary for 2 years. Wow. A member of the team explained later, adding that future sales would likely bring that up to 40,000 units. The studio confirmed that it takes 70% of the profits from each sale of Bout of Blood, with the other 30% going towards PlayStation, though it also revealed that the game was partially funded by Sony, which likely explains why it's only appearing on PSVR right now. It was a very generous deal, the studio explained. Most of the time, developers get much less, but VR deals are a bit better as the user base is smaller, so it's harder to break even. Wow, this sounds super harsh. Could you imagine if everybody on Steam had to sell 40,000 copies? Could you guys imagine if Jet Island had to sell 40,000 copies? Thank God a lot of the smaller indie developers on Steam don't need to sell 40,000 copies. That is a hell of a lot of copies. They must have really invested a lot of money into Bout of Blood. Who would possibly imagine that? That is very shocking. Okay, going back over to chat. Sony is putting out more blog stuff for Dreams, so that is hopeful. That is Chris Gould. He's saying, look, there's still hope because Sony keeps blogging about it. But why no date? I guess maybe it's been this long. It's delayed this long. I guess they're not going to worry about a date. I kind of understand that. Let's see. Phil Yearn says, is there a good-sized community in Standout VR? And Tom Lloyd knows a lot about Standout VR. The other day, I believe Tom Lloyd in chat asked me, when am I going to review Standout VR? Tom, I don't have Standout VR. I'm not a multiplayer guy, and I'm absolutely being hammered by all kinds of brand new games that are coming out all the time. So I don't know. Standout VR, Standout VR is probably not the ideal kind of game for me to review. That would be like asking somebody that never plays racing games to review Assetto Corsa Competizione, which the VR version is coming on October 10th. It's probably not a good idea. So I'm probably not a great guy to be reviewing Standout. Although I know I should have a review. I'd love to have a review for everything. I need to do a lot more reviews, but that's a story for another day. But let's go back. Let's see. I wanted to see were there any other news stories we could bring up real quick here. Let's check Road to VR real quick. Let's see what Road to VR has going on. And so Road to VR Vive wireless adapter is now available starting at $300. So it is out there. Ladies and gentlemen, you can get your Vive wireless adapter. They are now available. They're talking about the Sariento VR update, the remastered graphics. We kind of know about that. They had a hands-on the Star VR 1. They say it's the best VR headset out there, bar none. Unfortunately, we're not going to get our hands on that anytime soon. That is for the filthy rich. It could be possibly $5,000. A Star VR headset could be $5,000. A lot of us have speculated $3,000, $2,999.99. My personal guesstimation, but this could be $5,000, so probably not in our realm. And of course, the 6 Degree of Freedom controllers, the experimental controllers, for the Lenovo Mirage Solo. Some people are now considering the Lenovo Mirage Solo for a mobile VR platform. We also have some stuff that is going on the HTC Vive subreddit. Alaska Airlines is offering VR movies to first-class passengers. This is exciting, and you know what? I used my Oculus Go, not on Alaska Airlines. I was on Hawaiian Airlines, and I used my Oculus Go on the way to Hawaii and the way back. And I can tell you, if you're on a long flight, a VR headset is a wonderful friend to have because you can lose yourself in some type of VR experience and you can lose yourself. And that makes the trip, of course, last. A 5-hour plane ride doesn't quite seem like a 5-hour plane ride when I'm in all these different VR experiences or watching a movie in VR or whatever, because you kind of lose track of where you are and you don't have to think about being on an airplane. It's a really nice thing to have. The wireless adapter, Amazon pre-order US, it is out there on Amazon. You know what, guys? I got to clear my throat real quick, but I don't want to do it on the air, so I'm going to mute for just a sec. I really need a cup of water here, but I have no water. I need to get a much bigger water and have it close at hand. But yeah, we were just checking the subreddits real quick here, seeing what they got. And Swords of Gargantua looks pretty cool. I remember seeing that. And that's pretty much it. Oh, we did find out Witching Tower VR is coming on October 5th. And I do believe I have the trailer for Witching Tower VR. Let me go ahead and look for that. We can take a look at that trailer again. We saw that trailer a while back, but we already saw this trailer, but it does now have the date of October 5th. I'm not sure if it had that date before. So let me go ahead and throw this Witching Tower trailer. Looks kind of cool. This is another early October game. And hey, October 5th is not that far away. Get my volume here.
They say, heavy is the head that wears the crown. Perhaps, but when weighed against its power, I feel it not. And it is with this power that I will protect my kingdom. How far must I be willing to go to do so? How far is too far? I pay no mind to such questions. Many will question me, question my methods. I simply do not care. For once they see what I have done, they will tremble at the sight. None shall oppose me. I will be without equal. I will protect my kingdom. Protect it from you.
Yeah, so right there at the end of the trailer, it does say, man, my throat, excuse me. Right there at the end of the trailer, it does say October 4th, but now it is coming one day later on October 5th. So we did know this was an early October release. And when you watch this trailer, for the majority of the trailer, it's no gameplay at all. Like the first I don't know how much of this, you don't see any gameplay at all, but it does show a nice story. It shows a lot of good graphical touches and things. And then at the very, very end, you're getting a lot of gameplay clips. And the interesting thing about it is it appears this game has a story. It appears it's an interesting dungeon crawler, but it also has a lot of puzzle elements and stuff as well. So it kind of does look like the total package. I don't know if it's really gonna like actually be the total package, but Witching Tower VR, this looks like a pretty big game for early October. And of course, on October 1st, I can tell you I will try to do the same thing I did on September 1st, which is try to make up a little list of all the biggest games of October. And this is absolutely going to be one of them, and this is one of them in early October. I don't know that we actually have a lot of stuff that is lined up for later in October. Now, there you see the puzzle gameplay. You can see this is kind of a dungeon crawler, Vanishing Realms-esque type of game, but it looks like it's also adding kind of a bit of like the gallery episode 1 and 2 in terms of like environmental puzzles, maybe a little bit, or at least some light puzzles. Graphics look pretty good right there. So that is the Witching Tower VR, and that will be on October 5th. So not too bad right there. All right, so going back into chat, Paradise Decay says, at VR Game Rankings. Oh, Anthony, I persevered with Jet Island today and killed a boss. Enjoying the game a lot more now, getting the hang of the mechanics. I'm telling you, man, Jet Island is all about once you learn the controls, it is a hell of a lot better. It's a hell of a lot better once you know the controls. Crunchy says, everyone talks about the Star VR 1 as if it is a consumer product, but it isn't, and it isn't marketed as such. No, but if you had $5,000, Crunchy, don't you think you could somehow get your hands on one? I think you probably could. Tom Lloyd says, he's talking to Jim Hall. Sebastian specifically tested the peripheral of Star VR versus Pimax, and that was the thing that made Star VR superior. There's lots of unknowns at this time, says Crunchy. Yeah, I mean, honestly, look, Star VR, that headset is the current elite headset in the world, basically. Like, if you want the best VR headset on planet Earth, it is probably that Star VR headset right now. I mean, it has Tobii eye tracking, for Christ's sakes, okay? So you can play Unknown Fate with that Star VR headset, and you've got eye tracking. I don't know what it does for Unknown Fate, but supposedly Unknown Fate actually supports that. And then the next best is going to be this 5K Plus as soon as it's actually legitimately available. And I'm wondering, anybody tempted to throw their 5K Plus on eBay? That is certainly an interesting question for those of you that have a 5K Plus coming. You could probably sell that thing for like $1,500 on eBay, and that is not even a joke. Okay, what I was going to do here is take a last minute check on the subreddit, see if there's anything else that's popping off, and not really seeing anything too much. Let's go ahead and check out the PSVR subreddit and see what this is about. So let's see, the Proto Awards nominated Pixel Ripped 1989 soundtrack by the amazing Terrence Dunn is now available on many distribution platforms. Pixel Ripped 1989. I got to go back and finish that game. I really got to go back and finish that game. Hands down, the very best mat for maintaining camera body orientation. It is only £5 or $7. Look at this. Whoa, that's actually a really good idea. If you have to stay very specifically in a tiny little spot, that is actually a really good idea. That orients you as well. I mean, you could just feel it by your toes and know how oriented you are to the camera. That is actually a brilliant idea there for anybody with a really tiny play area. But it kind of sucks that you're limited to this 180 thing, Let's see. Honor and Duty. There is an Honor and Duty update 1.07. They've added like this battle royale mode. I haven't gone back into Honor and Duty since that first time, since that first day. I was enjoying it, And that's about it. So not much else is going on. So I am starving, folks. Had a very small breakfast. So I'm going to go ahead and bounce out of here relatively early. But I can tell you, folks, tomorrow is a big day. I will be giving my thoughts on Creed. After I get some food in my system, I am going to try to play Creed multiple times this day. Try to get a really good feel for Creed. But that's basically going to go ahead and wrap it up for our show. So once again, please subscribe to the channel, like the video, all those good things, and I will see everybody tomorrow at 11 a.m. Pacific time. All right, folks, I will see you then. Take it easy. Later.